Listen to that. This isn't a bunch of twigs from the garden. This is the fuel injector wiring loom from my Jaguar XJS V12. And here's a pro tip for anybody who doesn't really work with wiring much. You shouldn't be able to snap it. This is the wiring that the ECU uses to send the signals to the fuel injectors to open, and after 30 or 40 years in the hot V of the engine bay, it's basically turned to glass. So if you own or are thinking of buying a V12 Jaguar XJS, I think this is one of the most important failure points to understand and address. So today we're going to take a deep dive of this wiring loom, look at why it failed, and look at what I replaced it with on my car to ensure long-term reliability. So the Jaguar V12 is a masterpiece in my opinion, and having it packaged in such a low-slung car as the XJS is superb, but unfortunately it also makes it a bit of a heat management nightmare. So there's really not much space in this engine bay for airflow and things, and consequently everything does just get quite hot, particularly when you've stopped and shut the engine down and everything kind of heat soaks. Now this wiring loom for the injectors, it sits right in the centre here, what they call the V of the engine between the two intake manifolds, and there's really no airflow at all. It's sort of sandwiched between the engine and the heat resistant material on the underside of the bonnet, and consequently this area here gets extremely hot. Now when Jaguar made this wiring loom, they made it out of simple standard PVC wiring, and consequently it goes through heat cycles. The plasticizers, I guess, in the wiring all kind of disappear, and it turns into this hard plastic-like material and cracks. So once it has cracked like this, one of two things, or a few things can happen, I guess. Firstly, the wires can obviously touch each other, and you might end up with very poor running or no running, or the wrong cylinders firing. They can also, because the wiring around them is so stiff, if you see if this wiring loom is constantly flexing, all of the flexing is happening at the copper, the point of the copper just here, because all this wiring is so stiff. And what happens then, of course, is the copper in the corner there, it work hardens and it eventually will snap because it's being flexed in a single spot rather than along the length of the wire, as it would be if your wire wasn't toasted. And if it snaps, this of course means that it will cut the wiring to the injector, and you will have no fuel injected for a single cylinder, or potentially for 3 cylinders, because of course this wiring loom is what they call batch firing. So the ECU controls the injector pulses to 3 of the 12 cylinders at once. So if you have a main feed become snapped, you will lose 3 cylinders. You won't get a warning light or anything, you'll just get very poor running. I guess one plus point is that, unlike the failures associated with the ignition system on the Morelli cars, this is quite a safe way for the engine to fail, because of course all it will do is, when these wires do snap, it will cut the fuel to the associated cylinders and they just won't work, rather than inject fuel and have that unburnt fuel potentially go into your catalytic converters like you happen with Morelli failure. Another interesting design choice Jaguar made when making this loom is they fitted these tail pieces adjacent to the connectors where they join the injectors, these pieces here, these rubber filled pieces, and they're actually filled with a resin. So you can see there's basically no flex in that. So yeah, in here you've got the 2 wires running along and into the loom, but there's also a firm resin in here, and that resin suffers the same fate as the wiring, sadly. It goes hard with age, and you know, it can crack, and at the point it does crack, say on this bit here, it subjects the wiring to flexing at a single point. And again, you know, when you're changing spark plugs and things, you're removing these, you're moving them around, it can cause the wiring to snap. So I replaced mine a few years ago when I had all the injectors and inlet manifold removed from the car, when I was replacing the cam cover gaskets amongst other things. And yeah, doing it, it does really give you an appreciation of just how confined it is in the V here. It's very much about the environment this wiring sits in. It's not ideal at all. But you can see the plugs here, so it's these green ones. I fitted new plugs, new wiring looms that go down to that section there. They kind of go along. There's one half of the engine this side, and there's a piece of wire that crosses over underneath the AC compressor there that goes to the other side, and then they combine together in this large piece of plastic coated loom just here, which kind of goes down this way. You can see it's nice and flexible, but it goes down there into that multi-plug there and onwards to this connector just here, which is where it joins the factory wiring loom via this plug, white plug just here. So it is a bit of a pain to get to. However, you can replace it without having to remove everything, I think. The standard wiring loom sits right at the bottom of the V down there, and if it's as crunchy as mine was, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare to remove. You know, you can't just tug it out. It's probably going to have to come out in pieces. And, you know, you've got to make doubly sure you keep track of which wires do which injectors, and make yourself a little wiring diagram before you attempt to recreate the loom. So it might be a little bit tricky, but saying that, it's not too difficult to remove the injectors at least, and then you'd get a lot more access into the centre of the V there in order to access the old wiring loom and remove it in one piece. So when you're making up your new loom, you could just use standard PVC automotive grade wiring like this here, but I feel you should probably learn the lesson from Jaguar that it's not really an appropriate place in the engine, and it gets too hot for this type of wiring. So what I did was, I've got a small piece left here, I used this. This is actually ultra flexible silicon coated wiring. Hope you can make that out. You can kind of see how easily it kind of bends and kind of ties in knots and things. So you can get this on eBay. If you just search for silicon coated wiring, it will come up. The coating on it is made of the same stuff as silicon hoses, you know, that you use to replace rubber hoses in engine bays. And yeah, it's rated to much higher temperatures than this PVC typical type. It's much more flexible, which means when you've got it all bundled up in the loom, it's much easier to route it where you'd like it to go. So I definitely recommend checking this out if you're looking to rebuild your loom. These are the connectors I used. I opted for these green ones. So these are Bosch EV1 type connectors. Again, you can get them on eBay. If you just search for Bosch EV1 connector, you will see these, and you can kind of buy them by the 4-pack. So you'll need some of those. The ones I got were slightly different to the ones on the factory loom. You can probably see there's like a metal clip that kind of tucks into the plate there on these, kind of holding them in place, which means they're much easier to remove than the standard ones. You know, you have to, on mine, you push them on, then you have to push that little clip in there, and that's it, secured in place with the metal clip that it comes with. But I opted for these just to make it a bit easier to remove them, and I've had no issues with them over a few thousand miles now. I also wrote the cylinder numbers on there, which is always a good idea. So a unique thing I did on my loom when I rebuilt it, and you can probably tell by how fat this is compared with the OEM one, but I actually wired it in for sequential injection. So you see this plug here, You might not be able to make this out, but there's actually enough leads in there so that each injector has an individual feed. And then I've got this adapter piece I made up to go between this adapter here and the standard one in the car, where it basically joins them together and connects the appropriate injectors back into the batch firing scheme that's used as standard, where you have 4 groups of 3 injectors clumped together. I did that mainly for future-proofing reasons. You know, I had this idea that maybe the ignition or the ECU might fail in a few years, and I'd look to fit, I don't know, an aftermarket system like Mega Squirt or something similar, an aftermarket style of engine management. And if I did do that, you'd probably want to run sequential fuel injection for the economy and smoothness benefits. So I took the opportunity just to wire them in individually and then make that small adapter piece, but you don't have to. So I wouldn't say this is a small job. It certainly takes time to do it well, but it does buy you some essential peace of mind, in my opinion, and particularly reliability if you're planning to use your car on long journeys. A failure in the injector loom at a random place in this spaghetti is not something you really want to go through. But yeah, the XJS is really a car that rewards you, you know, if you respect its engineering, but punishes you if you ignore the basics, like 30-year-old brittle plastic. If you found this helpful and you enjoy these more technical breakdown videos, please let me know below in the comments. I looked at the analytics the other day and I see we've got 550 subscribers or so now, so I think I'm on a little bit of a mission now to hit 1,000 subscribers while I go through all the jobs on this and other cars. So there'll be lots of content coming, and particularly some of the technical aspects of keeping old cars like this on the road. So thanks for watching, and please go check your wiring loom. Mine isn't looking great on the coil there, is it? Might have to look into that.